Welcome to episode 16 of the Ginger and
Soul Podcast.
Next week is the wild card weekend, so we can preview some of these wild card games. But the first thing that we're going to get into is our all Ginger, all Soul teams for the year of 2021 in the NFL.
That's right. Just to break down how this works, we are honoring the late, great John Madden with our own version of an all-pro team. Of an all-Madden team. This is not an all-pro team. That's the big difference here. Because if it was an all-pro team, it's going to be just who had the best numbers and who had the best stats, and that's not necessarily what this is. It's just guys we really like that are also great players in the league. One quarterback. We're going to have 2 running backs, 3 wideouts, a tight end, and then an offensive line unit, because we're not going to break down guards and tackles and centers on this show. That is for people much smarter than us. So, David, why don't you start it off and say, who is your quarterback 1 for your all-soul team?
Yes. Quarterback 1. All right. And this is my all-soul team. These are the players who laser to planet Earth. Put out your best QBs. This is who I'm going to want out there in the field. And I know this choice might seem a little crazy to you. For others, it's not. Ginger already knows where I'm going with this one, baby. But if everything's on the line and the aliens need one QB from this season who I trust the most to bring us to the gold, to bring us to the promised land, there's only one man on this earth who I'm going to say is my quarterback on my team. And that's the greatest of all time, baby. That is Tom Brady. That is my QB on my all-soul team for the year of 2021. Nobody does it better. Nobody I can trust more than the GOAT. So that's who I'm picking.
Very nice. Yeah, I can't disagree with that one, even though he is very old at 44. So, I love a quarterback with the big arm, mobile. So it's tough between Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. I love both of them. But I made this list before week 18, and it got validated last Sunday night. Give me the second-year player out of Oregon University, Justin Herbert, baby. I love watching this guy, and he just eats, breathes, and sleeps football, and that's what you want. I think he has 100% approval rating right now in the league, and he's just a blast to watch. So there's no one I'd rather go to war with than Justin Herbert, as much as I love Josh Allen and as much as Aaron Rodgers is clearly the MVP this season. Let's move on to running backs. I'll start this off, David, because this is my most controversial one by far. So my running back 1 is Derrick Henry. I know he only played 8 games this year. I get it. And I know that there's other running backs that people are arguing are better than him, but I don't think anybody can tackle this guy. And he's underratedly fast. I've grown to like him. I wasn't necessarily a fan at first, but now I'm at the point where I just think he's pretty clearly the best running back in the league. My running back 2 is Alvin Kamara. This is a shocker, but people are sleeping. He was injured this year. Both my running backs were injured this year. I get it. But he was balling, and I know he had under 1,000 yards rushing. I see the numbers. They're pretty mediocre this year because he missed 5 games. And so...
All right. Good picks. All right. For my 2 running backs, you got 2 pretty good ones there. But my first pick is going to be Jonathan Taylor. Guys, do you know how bad the Indiana Colts are when Jonathan Taylor doesn't run over 100 yards? Pretty fucking bad. They're losing most of their games. And let me tell you what is one of the biggest travesties in this football season, other than Sean Payton playing Taysom Hill. R.I.P. Taysom Hill. Feel so bad for you, bro. But
why? What happened?
He got an injury, and I'm not actually sure how long he's out, but can't lie and tell you it wasn't good to see it. But top running backs here. Jonathan Taylor ran that Colts offense, was a great fantasy pick. I watched him pull off some miraculous things this year. And for my second running back, I'm going to have to go to Ginger's team for this one, all right? I'm going to have to go with my boy, Austin Ekeler, because I got Jonathan Taylor. I got Jonathan Taylor for the goal line specialist, but when I need a guy, when it's 3rd and 4, and I need someone for a short pass on the screen, keep in mind, viewers, it was going to be Damian Harris. Amazing running back, then obviously with New England, there's a lot of split touches, and that's probably the only reason why I didn't pick him. But I think next year he's going to be clear number 1 all running back of the year. But for now, I'm going to have to pick my boy, Austin Ekeler. I love how versatile he is. I love watching him play. I think he's very clutch in big moments. So I think my Jonathan Taylor, Austin Ekeler combination is going to be absolutely unstoppable.
Those are the 2 best running backs this season statistically. And Ekeler had 8 receiving touchdowns this year. That's pretty incredible. Why don't you go ahead and name your receivers?
Ooh, my receivers. Number 1, obviously, got to go with the boy, Ja'Marr Chase. The rookie, the GOAT, probably the future GOAT. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. But there's no receiver that I watched that I enjoyed watching more than Ja'Marr Chase. Number 2, gonna go with a little bit of a controversial pick here. Maybe not for some of y'all viewers. But I'm going to go with the one guy who made his quarterback look way better than he actually is this season. I'm going to go with my boy from Friday, Deebo Samuels. Amazing, incredible wide receiver. So clutch, so unstoppable on the run. Just a really incredible player. And then number 3, going to have to take him off the board. I almost feel bad because it's so obvious. But I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to go with Cooper Kupp. Most reception yards, most reception touchdowns of the 2021 season. Not a lot of people have been more clutch than Cooper Kupp this year. So those are my receivers. What do you got?
It's not a draft, by the way. We can both have the same players. That's funny that we haven't overlapped yet. Okay. But we are about to. We are about to overlap. You faked me out with your number 1 receiver, though. I was really about to say his name because you made it seem like, oh, this is so obvious. We're all going to pick this guy. So your receivers are definitely more controversial. I feel like I went controversial with the running backs, and you went controversial with the receivers here with Chase and Deebo. Although Deebo is an honorable mention for me, and A.J. Brown too. And of course Keenan Allen, just because I like him. But my top 3 are pretty meat and potatoes boring here. Number 1 is clearly Davante Adams. I think he's the best receiver in the game. Just like his route running. It's kind of like, because he's a free agent this year, and my team is rumored to get him, so I'll use this example. He has like Keenan Allen's route running with like Mike Williams' size and like strength. Mm-hmm. And it's just like unguardable. And obviously, what helps is having Aaron Rodgers throw to you. So he's just dynamite. Number 2, kind of like your Ja'Marr Chase pick, but I'm going with a different LSU prodigy. Give me Justin Jefferson, the original LSU standout. This guy is basically, growing up, I had Randy Moss as my favorite receiver, and this guy's kind of looking like the next coming of Randy Moss. And so I don't use that lightly because he's the best receiver I've watched. It's just a shame he has that terrible quarterback. So hopefully something changes there. They just fired their GM and coach. And number 3, I'm going to take your guy, Cooper Kupp. And you talked about making a quarterback look a lot better than he is. I believe Cooper Kupp is that guy for Stafford. And he could be MVP. He led the league. I mean, in all 3 major categories of receiving, he's unstoppable. So I love watching him. I'm happy he was able to stay healthy this year. So he was clearly eating out there. So yeah, those are my receivers. Kupp, Jefferson, Devontae. Pretty mean potatoes.
Nice.
Yep.
And so for the tight end position, might not be too controversial. I'm taking Kelsey.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you, Ginger? Is that your one
Nope.
tight end? Oh,
It's not.
Kittle?
Yes, it is Kittle. But it's basically just because I'm not. Kelsey and Mark Andrews had the 2 best seasons this year for a tight end, but I just like Kittle more. And so I'll let you explain your Kelsey pick, and I'll explain Kittle.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about Kelsey is that you can tell that Mahomes, as far as all of his weapons go this season, he's still the most comfortable with Kelsey. And I can just tell that those two have such a great connection together. I don't know if Kelsey is the most talented tight end of all of them.
I don't know about that. He's so talented.
Maybe, and he might be the most talented tight end out of all of them. Obviously very quick. I mean, you saw that, 60-yard touchdown he did, a few weeks ago. And
no one saw that. Just kidding. I was there.
Ginger was there for that tragedy.
I was there.
And but yeah, I think he's Mahomes' best target, which is crazy. And I really enjoy watching him play. He's very clutch, and you can just always rely on him to get a score. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick, and I love Kelsey. I actually really do like Kelsey. One, because of his wife, and oh, dude, have you not seen her? You should Google her while I break it down here. But no, Kelsey's an incredible talent. His speed, his size, his hands. I don't think we've seen anything like him in the NFL. But to me, I just love George Kittle.
Ooh.
I take him every year in fantasy. I know, right? So Kittle, I just think Kittle's just fun. Not that Kelsey isn't fun, but it's just so I just love Kittle, and I like that he's not on the Chiefs. He's big, strong, fast. And he just does anything you will ask him to do. He doesn't really necessarily care about stats all the time. And he's always really clutch. And he hasn't even had a real quarterback yet. Let's just be honest, I would love to see him with, I was going to say Trey Lance, but maybe not. But an elite arm talent like Mahomes, per se. Even though there's no one like Mahomes. But, somebody of that ilk. So for offensive line, we just chose units here. I think there's a pretty clear top 2. So I went with the Colts. As you can see, Jonathan Taylor dominated the league this year, in part because Jonathan Taylor is a great player, and in other part because he has one of the best offensive lines in the league. And it just makes you wonder, and I forget if we've talked about this on the pod, but if you gave Andrew Luck that offensive line early in his career, where would this Colts team be now? So I think you got to love what the Colts have built with the offensive line and how they kind of learned their lesson with the Andrew Luck situation.
Nice. Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. I'm going to actually go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line.
Ooh, I didn't even think about them.
Yeah, I think, listen, as much as Brady is the GOAT, he's not going to be doing much running, and he doesn't plan to. The best thing, one of the most underrated skills about Tom Brady is how he knows how to fall. Something that all of these All of these rookie QBs have to learn after injuries. Look how much Joe Burrows is falling after that one injury. Yes, because falling is a skill. And Brady has all the time in the world, and when you and for a good reason too, because you don't want to sacrifice that offensive line for Brady. And if Brady's getting under pressure a lot, you don't see it a lot in his career. You kind of saw it more towards the end of his tenure in the Patriots, but not a good thing. So definitely shout outs to the Tampa Bay Bucks for that offensive line. If you're protecting your 45-year-old QB, I think that I can trust you for my all-team offensive line here.
All right, there you have it. This is our offensive side of the ball. Just to recap, my offense goes as follows. Quarterback Justin Herbert. Running backs are Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara. My receivers are Devontae, Justin Jefferson with Cooper Kupp in the slot. I got George Kittle at the tight end with the Colts offensive line. Why don't you read yours off?
Yep, so I got Tom Brady as QB, Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler as my 2 running backs, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, and Deebo Samuels as my 3 running backs, Travis Kelce as my tight end, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as my offensive line.
Yeah, you accidentally said running backs, but I think we got the gist. 3 wide receivers. All right, let's go to our defense. For this part, it's a little complicated because offensive linebacker and defensive end kind of blend together, but nonetheless, this is the roster.
Outside linebacker.
That's what I said. Right? Whatever.
No, I think you said offensive, but yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'll read. So here's how the roster will break down. You got 1 DT, who is pretty obvious who he will be. You got 2 defensive ends. You got 3 total linebackers, 2 outside, 1 middle. You got 2 corners, and you got 2 safeties. So do we agree that DT is Aaron Donald?
Yes, we both have Aaron Donald for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I almost wanted to text you, like, just put Aaron Donald and 2 defensive ends because it's pretty obvious that he is the only DT to take. He's arguably one of the greatest defensive players of all time. So, and he's had another phenomenal season.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion on defensive end and outside linebacker in today's game, which is a new concept I haven't really thought of. Because back when we were growing up, I said it again, you're right. You caught me. Outside linebacker and defensive end were 2 different positions, but now it seems these guys are playing both. So I'm going to rattle off all 4 right now. My 2 defensive ends, I wrote down Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa. And for outside linebacker, I have TJ Watt and Joey Bosa. Now, would I ever put Joey Bosa at an outside linebacker? Not a chance. He is massive. I would not want him in coverage. But, I guess that's technically his position. I guess that's technically TJ Watt's position, So that's kind of the game we're playing. But I want those 4 players on my team because I'm going to get a lot of sacks. I can tell you that right now. So, and with Aaron Donald in the middle. So, yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, I think mine are basically the same as yours. But I think one difference is I have Micah Parsons as defensive end.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys. Probably going to be the first ever defensive player of the year and defensive rookie of the year. Well, TJ Watt will probably get it. But
TJ Watt just broke the sack record. He's going to win.
He didn't break it. He tied it. But yeah.
He still broke it. He only played like 14 games.
True. TJ Watt will probably get it, but Micah Parsons definitely in the conversation. Micah Parsons is a beat. So I had him. I have TJ, Bosa, and TJ Watt. Okay, so TJ Watt, Micah Parsons as my defensive ends, and then Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett as my offensive linebackers. Yeah, I think that's what I have. Yeah.
That checks out.
A little complicated, but yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same minus Micah Parsons. I was looking at all my list of like possible offensive linebackers.
Right.
I didn't know if they fit. But they do fit. So, um,
Yeah, it's strange. I didn't realize Parsons was a defensive end. I thought he was a middle linebacker, but I wouldn't have picked him anyway because I don't like the Cowboys personally. I just think Myles Garrett's so underrated. He was my pick to win Defensive Player of the Year. We'll go over all the awards because I think there's still some debate for some of these awards coming up.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of his. So for my middle linebacker, there's a lot of great choices. You mentioned Micah Parsons. I love the guy on your team, Matthew Judon, even back to when he was on Baltimore. Absolute stud. Bobby Wagner, even though he's ancient. And Darius Leonard is another great player, but I love this guy on the Niners, Fred Warner. This guy is awesome. And he didn't even play most of the year, but his impact is very clear when you watch these guys play. So there's no other linebacker I'd want in the middle as of today than Fred Warner.
Yep. Yeah. And I have Fred Warner the same as my pick.
Nice.
Yeah. Absolute monster. Great middle linebacker. And yeah, I guess there isn't much to say about that, to be honest. Really great player.
Yeah, I agree.
But the cornerbacks, that's a little more controversial, or maybe not. But who do you have as your cornerbacks? Your two cornerbacks.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot you could choose from. These two guys were kind of injured most of the year, so I kind of just left them off. Jair Alexander on the Packers didn't really play, and Trey White got hurt middle of the year. So I went with Marshawn Lattimore on the Saints and Jalen Ramsey. I don't really like Jalen Ramsey, but like he's a stud. So I would feel weird to not include him. And Marshawn Lattimore's a dog, dude. Great player. If I actually had to like make a team, I'd probably go with Trey White just because I like him more than Jalen Ramsey. But like, I do like how hard Jalen Ramsey competes, and he's probably the best cornerback in the game because nobody even throws to him anymore. Let's just be honest. So those are my two. Who do you got?
Yeah, so no surprise here. Got my boy J.C. Jackson this year.
Good choice. I like him.
Great player. 8 intos this year. Really amazing.
Damn.
And then my second, as much as I hate to do this, because I do really hate the Dallas Cowboys, but I had to pick Trayvon Diggs, 11 intos this year. So it's kind of hard not to pick him, even though I think he is a little bullshit and the Cowboys are bullshit. Still picking the boy Trayvon Diggs because he had a really
you got
really
two Cowboys on their D.
I know.
You got two.
I know. The Cowboys have a good defense this year. They have a good defense. I'll give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, they got a big playoff game coming too. I like Trayvon Diggs has so much swag. I love that pick. I'm not gonna lie. That's a great one. How are you gonna feel if J.C. Jackson leaves? I heard he's a free agent.
I'm gonna be really upset, but we're gonna keep him.
Yeah, it's okay. You guys spent a lot of money. But yeah, you guys will keep him.
We love our defense. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Why don't you wrap us up and tell us who your safeties are?
Yeah, safeties. This was actually pretty difficult. But my number one safety is going to be my boy. I love him to death. You guys can hate him, but got to go with my boy, Budda Baker. I love the name. He's just a really great safety this year, and yeah, just a great safety. And it was really tough for my second one. So I think I think
it should be pretty clear who it should be.
And
there's only one name.
I have him as my second, but I don't know. I do have him as my second, and I do have the man, Derwin James, baby.
Yeah,
as my number two safety.
Number 2.
And right next to Buda Baker. And love Derwin James. Really great safety in the NFL. So yeah, Ginger will have a lot better things to say about him than I do. So go for it.
Well, I mean, obviously I have Derwin James. I was just razzing David a little bit. It is your list. You didn't have to pick Derwin. But he's pretty clearly the best safety in the league. Let's just be honest. Like, I just don't even think this, like, why even argue for another safety? Because, like, and you could see it. You could literally see it. The Chargers can't even beat the Texans and the Broncos without him. And when he's out there, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bengals, they beat all these, pretty solid teams. So I just think you could see his value, and, he hits so hard. We're basically watching what Sean Taylor would have been in this league, in my opinion. So, and obviously there's a little bias with that pick. As much as I love Buda Baker, so for my strong safety, I do love Buda Baker. Another guy I really like is Minkah Fitzpatrick on the Steelers. But since he's pretty much done and it's his last year, and I've always loved watching him, and he had a good year this year, I'm going to go with Harrison Smith. I think the only white player I took, Justin Herbert is technically, I took a lot of white players, so what am I talking about? But he's like one of the last white DBs out there. I know that's like a big deal on social media, I guess, but I mean, he's a hard-hitting safety, a dog. He's been doing it forever, so just always liked him. So that's my defense right there. Dude, this defense would be nasty, so I'm going to read mine real quick. I'm going to start on my defensive line. I got Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa on the edges with Aaron Donald in the middle. My linebackers are TJ Watt, Joey Bosa, and Fred Warner. Oof. And my defensive backs are... Oh, sorry, let me finish. My defensive backs are Marshawn Lattimore and Jalen Ramsey. And my 2 safeties are Derwin James and Harrison Smith.
Definitely, yeah. Defensive tackle Aaron Donald, and TJ Watt, Micah Parsons. Then we got Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett. And then we got middle linebacker Fred Warner, cornerbacks J.C. Jackson, Trayvon Diggs, and then Buda Baker and Derwin James.
Micah Parsons over Nick Bosa. Interesting.
Dude, you're sleeping heavy on Micah Parsons, dude.
I'm going to be real. The Cowboys have had, not a great schedule, so I just haven't watched them a ton. That's
dude,
more
Micah
what it is.
Parsons, 13 sacks, dude.
I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm talking about Nick Bosa. Actually, like I said, some bum. I'm excited. I will be watching them play the Niners. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go over some awards. I actually don't have anything written down, so this is kind of on the fly. So let's just start with the big one. Who do you got for MVP?
MVP. Well, now that this last week ended off, I suppose that it has to be someone who has made the playoffs.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, because before your boy was
has
up
that
there,
happened?
I don't know if it has. I'm just saying.
Jonathan Taylor could have won it if they made the playoffs, basically.
Taylor was up there. Herbert was also in the conversation too, possibly. You don't think so?
He wasn't. No, not this year.
Interesting.
Not at 9-7.
Yeah, I guess 9-7 isn't great. You know what? I'm gonna give it to the guy who I do not like. And I'm going to say, oh, this is actually so tough.
You really don't want to give it to Aaron Rodgers, do you?
No, I don't.
He's going to win it.
I don't like Aaron Rodgers. But all right, fuck it. I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers. He is the MVP. He is the most valuable player in the NFL currently. I think there are arguments if Indy did make it to the playoffs. You have Jonathan Taylor. You also have the Cooper Kupps. You also have Brady. You also have Brady sneaking in there with the last 2 wins with an injured team. I know you don't like that pick, Ginger, but he's up there. When you look at the odds, he's close. But I'll give
who did he beat this year?
everybody.
The Eagles? What, he beat the Panthers twice and the Jets? Like, what are you talking about? Got shut out by the Saints at home. It's over.
I don't know. But I'll give it, you know what? Because I know this bum isn't going to win a Super Bowl, I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, there you go. You know who I wanted to get? You know who I wanted to give it to? Because I picked him at the beginning of the year. I wanted to give it to Josh Allen, your favorite quarterback.
Listen, my prediction was Allen. It was Allen in the beginning.
Okay.
But
nice.
But
no, he's out of the conversation.
It's not anymore.
No, and it was weird after he beat the Pats. He struggled. So I think they won, but like their schedule was easy. A lot of these teams, I wish the Chargers had some of these teams scheduled, dude. I really do. I mean, Allen got to end the year with like the Falcons and the Jets. Like, what is that? Like, whatever. I'm off on tangent. MVP is Aaron Rodgers. It's his 5th, I believe, so he'll have tied Peyton for that achievement, I guess.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, pretty incredible. And I just think they've been the best team all year. They went to Arizona, won without Devontae. Kind of just shows you how good he is. I mean, he can win with literally any receiver. His defense has been cycling guys in and out. And Aaron Jones didn't really play well this year, so it's kind of all him. I know they're in a crappy division, but, they're number 1 seed for a reason. They're number 1 seed pretty much the whole year, so I'll go Aaron. I think Cooper Kupp is actually, now that Taylor's kind of out, Kupp has more of an argument, but it's tough because he plays a dependent position, you know what I mean? Like, this is very rare. Like, and if Jerry Rice never won MVP, it's hard to say another receiver ever will. But that's my opinion.
Interesting.
Okay, let's go. We talked about it a little bit. Defensive Player of the Year. You're on Micah Parsons, or you think it's going to go to TJ Watt?
It's definitely going to go to TJ Watt. I mean, tying with Strahan is really big and really huge, and just watching him play, I was like, damn, dude, this guy's absolutely unstoppable. I think that Micah will get it next year, but I think this year is TJ Watt's year, and so yeah, definitely got to give it to TJ Watt this year. Which is crazy because I think he's basically been the top defensive player for the past 3 years. I don't know if he's won it every year. But he's been dominant as far as stats for the past 3 years. So
yeah, there was a lot of arguments for him to win it last year, but I think Aaron Donald. It's tough to say Aaron Donald isn't. It's kind of like almost Jordan with MVP. It's like, well, it's hard to say Aaron Donald's not Defensive Player of the Year. You know what I mean? But I think TJ Watt's pretty clearly made himself Defensive Player of the Year this year. Breaking the sack record sure helps. But the thing with the records is now that the season's 100 weeks long or whatever, a lot of these records are going to fall. So I think the season's way too long. Coach of the Year. I haven't really thought about, I feel like it hasn't been talked about a lot because it's not as big a deal, I guess. But who would be your Coach of the Year?
Yeah, I'm going to go with, and this is going to be a controversial pick, but I'm going to do it. Fuck it, because it's the Ginger and Soul podcast, and I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go with my favorite coach. Not my favorite coach, because my favorite coach is Bill Belichick, but another coach who I'm very interested in. And I'm going to go with the guy who brought Jimmy G to the playoffs with injuries and not a lot going on in the offense. I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan. I'm going to give him Coach of the Year. I think that he did a lot with a little. I think there's an argument for Vrabel here, but Vrabel did have Henry. So I'm going to go with Shanahan.
Really? You're going to be surprised by my pick. My pick is Bill Belichick for Coach of the Year.
The GOAT, the GOAT, the GOAT. Go ahead.
Yep. He is a rookie quarterback. Completely transformed the team in the offseason. I think, how many wins did you guys have last year? Do you know offhand? I think it was very little, and they could have easily been contenders. They kind of fell off after the Indianapolis game, but he had them right there. And, this team doesn't have a lot of great receivers or anything, but they just keep finding ways to win. So, to me, it's Bill Belichick. I'm impressed with the job he's done. I really am. So, that's my pick. And I don't like Bill. I like Tom Brady more than Bill. But I give credit where it's due. Bill's a great coach.
Respectable pick. Respectable pick.
Yeah. What are the other awards? Oh, I got one for you. This one, we all thought was locked up for pretty much the entire year. But maybe it's changed hands. So who's your pick for Comeback Player of the Year?
I guess I'll say, I don't know, I have two things in mind thinking about it right now. One is your favorite player of all time, Dak Prescott. And then the other is your second favorite player of all time, Joe Burrows. Both coming back off of some pretty bad injuries. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna choose Joe Burrows because when I saw Burrows get hurt last year, I was thinking, this guy, it ain't looking good for this guy's future. I'll be honest. I was starting to write off Joe Burrows a little bit, especially after a rocky season. But when I see him this year breaking these records with Ja'Marr Chase, I think that Joe Burrows has elevated himself back into the conversation of what the future of the NFL is going to look like. So I'm going to give it to the boy Joe Burrows because I did write him off a little bit, and I think he's having a great comeback this year. Who do you think?
Yeah, you had a great comeback there because you broke it down perfectly. I think most people kind of just assumed that Dak was going to win this award, but you kind of think that Joe Burrow had just as bad an injury, not just as bad, but a bad season-ending injury as well, and he's just played better than Dak. So if you're gonna give it to somebody, it's got to be Joe Burrow. I don't dislike Joe Burrow, but he's just not, he's just not Justin Herbert. We just can't compare the two yet. We saw what happened. Herbert went to his place and made him his bitch. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. In fact, Herbert beat every AFC North team. I don't know about that though, but whatever. But no, Burrow should win it. I love what he's doing. Actually, I like him a lot. And I like Chase too. But in the AFC, man, you better have a gunslinger at quarterback because we can talk about this in a little bit too. It's like you're in the AFC. It's now Mahomes, Josh Allen, Herbert, and Burrow. I mean, good luck. Good luck. You better go find a quarterback to hang with that shit. That's for damn sure. Are there any other awards? Oh, Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year. Is there an offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year? Is that a thing?
There is, yeah. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Both? Ain't no other man on this planet other than Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Just kidding. I actually don't think Mac Jones is going to get it. I think that
that's my pick.
I know your pick's Mac Jones, which I love. Dude, you really love the Patriots, Ginger. I just thought I'd point out. You're a big fan.
Number one.
But I'm actually the slight edge I'm going to give to Ja'Marr Chase because even though I saw Mac Jones do amazing things his rookie year, I saw Ja'Marr Chase do some unbelievable things. Right. So I'm going to have to give that slight edge to Ja'Marr Chase for the offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and I think what probably sealed is when he had like 300 yards receiving in one game. I mean, that's like pretty fair if he wins it. But I do think it's Mac Jones. I just think maybe I just had such low expectations for him going in, but like I don't know. He's not Herbert or Burrow, but he's good. He's elite, and he turned this Patriots team around. And Not that Jamar Chase hasn't turned the Bengals around, but I would give the slight edge to Mac Jones. So for defensive rookie of the year, is Micah Parsons a rookie? So
Yes,
he pretty much has that locked up, yeah?
Yeah, it's Micah Parsons. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I don't even know who else is in the discussion. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah. Is that it? That's the awards? We did it?
There's offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year.
Oh, those are stupid. Well, okay. No, we did defensive player of the year.
Yeah, defensive player of the year is TJ Watt.
Offensive player of the year is stupid. It's a stupid award. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's basically it's basically MVP, but it's basically who doesn't
for non-quarterbacks.
For non-quarterbacks, yeah, it's MVP for non-quarterbacks. Yeah.
Which is fucked up because like a non-quarterback can be MVP. Yeah. Like defensive players, I think did Aaron Donald ever win MVP? That's a great question, but I'm sure a defensive player has won it before.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. This is kind of a messy.
Lawrence Taylor, yeah, he's definitely won MVP.
That era, dude, so many of those guys are like on drugs or cheating. Like it comes out later. Like it's like, oh, that's why they put up such great numbers. These records are like really hard to break, even with 18 games. It's because they're all on coke.
You know who I tell you isn't on steroids? The greatest football motherfucking player of all time, Tom Brady, baby. Woo!
He just cheats.
Tom Brady dick.
He's the original. He's the Barry Bonds. Oh no, I guess he's not Barry Bonds. He's more Houston Astros.
You know what, Ginger? You know what I think you need right now? I think you need to get some things. I think you need to get some things off your chest. As a Los Angeles Chargers fan.
Oh no! I
think that it's time. I think that it's time that you release the furor, Ginger. You release everything you have bottled inside you right now from this past season, and you air it out. You air it out to the audience. So give us your best here.
All right. Well, first I'll apologize to Raider Nation. All right, shitting on them all year. We beat the crap out of them at SoFi, so I was confident. And you know what? They came to play, and they earned their win, and they earned back my respect. And by the way, respect of Raiders fans, I know some Raiders fans who I will not mention on here that had abandoned ship entirely. So they're back on now, of course, now that they won. But whatever. It's all good. What else is going on? I have a lot of notes. Well, I think what happened, the season kind of ended when we lost to the Texans. That was what I was like, as soon as it happened, I was like, probably miss the playoffs. I didn't think we were going to miss the playoffs, but I was like, damn, if we miss the playoffs, it's because of that game. And, I don't want to make excuses, but our team was just racked by COVID that game. And other than Herbert, pretty much everyone was out. Not making an excuse, we should still beat the Texans, but that's why we lost, period. Here's the thing that's bothering me about this loss. We lost the game more so in the first half than the second half. And people are crushing Staley for some mistakes, and I'll circle back to him because he did make some mistakes. But let's just start off with a timeout situation. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it, and then I'll tell you where we really lost the game. When I watched it live, I agree with the decision because I thought our defense wasn't set. And that's what Staley said in the interview. He's like, yeah, our defense wasn't set. It's not because I was doing some weird mind trick to the Raiders. And the other thing that's pissing me off is there's myth going around that the Raiders were taking a knee and going for the tie. Number one, their coach was very adamant that they were not going for the tie. And so was Staley. Neither of these teams were going for the tie at any point. I would have taken a tie at overtime. As soon as that game went to overtime, I would have went to midfield and said, hey, do you want to take the tie right now? And I think the Raiders coach deep down might have accepted that offer because you both make the playoffs. You played a hell of a game, hell of a season. Fuck the Steelers. Get their shitty fans out of there. Or anyway. But what are your thoughts on the timeout real quick before I break down what happened in the first half?
Yeah, I think the timeout's a very interesting situation. And I think it's such an interesting situation that I think that it's a situation that people should study just to learn about in a way, the art of war, right? Because, okay, here's the situation. It's 3rd and about 4. Let's just say that. And
Yeah, it was.
if the Chargers and the Raiders tie, then they both make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders have the ball on 3rd and 4, and they're close to field goal range.
Keep in mind their kicker is like Tucker. You know what I mean? They're not far from field goal range. They may have kicked a field goal even if they didn't get the first down from that spot.
Exactly. So it's and so if the Raiders win, then they do not play the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. If they do win, instead they play the Cincinnati Bengals. So even with winning, there is a slight edge that favors the Raiders. Like, this isn't a coin flip. This isn't a 50-50. If they tie, they don't get equal payout between the Chargers and the Raiders. If the Raiders win, they get a better seed spot. They play technically a worse team in the playoffs. And above all of that, if the Raiders lose, they don't make the playoffs. So if the Raiders don't play to win in the first quarter, if the Raiders are playing to win in the first quarter because the risk is that if they lose, they won't make the playoffs, then you have to play consistently to the last second of the fourth quarter in order to win, because the other option is a loss, which means that you don't make the playoffs, right? So you don't care about the other team's feelings. All you care is that you have to play psychologically so that you're always getting the win, and that has to be consistently played throughout the game. So I think that with the Chargers coach's situation, it makes sense, because even if the Raiders ran, what are the two options that the Raiders have here? They either run it and they get the first down, or they run it and they don't get the first down, but they get a little closer to the field goal, possibility of a field goal getting kicked. And even if you say it's out of field goal range, it doesn't matter, because what if they do kick the field goal? And what if they do get it in? Then your situation is that you lose and the Chargers can't even make the playoffs. So the Chargers are in a situation where they're always forced to play to win, because the other option is that there's a possibility that you lose, right? So it makes it do, like, logically, if you game theory that out, it just makes sense that the Chargers would play to win in that situation. So yeah, I went on a little bit on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the problem, like, I wouldn't have called timeout because I remember watching that Super Bowl where Belichick made Seattle deal with the clock and didn't call timeout.
Yeah.
That's a strategy I would use going forward, especially because the play clock's down to 4. Yes, the Chargers defense wasn't set, so I understand why he called timeout. Like, a lot of people on social media don't. And so I'll get into this. I want to break down this weird theory going on in a second, but basically it's like, okay, like, our defense wasn't set, but I'd rather the Raiders run a play there because there's 4 seconds left on the play clock. They're in shotgun. You know, who knows what they're going to do there. Like, make them deal with the pressure, and if they don't get it, then I'm definitely calling timeout. That's how I would have handled it, but I don't mind that he called timeout because our defense wasn't set. And what pisses me off about the situation is people acting like, oh, the Raiders are going to take a knee there. Why did he call timeout? They're in shotgun. They're not taking a knee. They just aren't. They are not taking a knee on that play, point blank, period. So I guess some people had a problem with Staley letting it run down so low. I don't know. But, all right. I will say Staley made some mistakes. There were 2 critical errors that upset me a lot more than the timeout. Obviously, the one everyone knows is going for it on your own 18. There's just no need to do that. There was no need to do that. It's way too early in the game, number one. And it only cost 3 points, but it gave the Raiders crowd, the defense, and defense more momentum, and that it carried over into the beginning of the fourth quarter, and we fell further behind. So that was probably the most idiotic coaching decision I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not going to lie. That's just unacceptable. You just got to know better than that. I don't care what the numbers say. You can't be giving free possessions away in what I would call a playoff game. You just can't do it. And number two, this decision actually paid off, so no one's going to talk about it. But when he was down 9 and went for 2, that was a terrible decision. Because if he didn't get that and Herbert almost got sacked on that play, and it could have easily been incomplete too. It was a tough throw, a great catch by Eckler to get the 2. But if they don't get it, the game's over. So in that situation, you have to kick the extra point to cut it to 8. So that way you go down. If you go down and score like we did, wow, Herbert was unbelievable. Obviously, we can get into that later. But then you have to go for 2. I guess I get the logic in that now you can just kick an extra point as high. But if you don't get the 2-point conversion there, the game is over. So I just think that was a terrible, really bad decision, and it actually worked out. So those are my 2 biggest issues with Staley, but that's not why we lost the game, dude. We lost the game in the first half, right? So I'll break it down. First of all, great game of the year, obviously. It was awesome to watch. I'm proud of my team and how we fought back and came back. But here's where we lost. So this is the huge play here. 3-0 down. We're down 3-0, but both teams go 3 and out again. So the Raiders punt to us, and then we fumble the punt. How does that happen? That just can't be happening. And they fumbled at like the own 20, and the Raiders score a touchdown on that drive. That's 7 points right there. But okay, so now it's 10-0. And so now instead of getting the ball down 3-0, the Raiders punted, so there's no momentum. Now you give the Raiders all the momentum. Now they're up 2 scores, and now you're playing catch up the rest of the game. So Chargers go up 14-10 right before the half, and they give up a 3rd and 23. That is just inexcusable. That just can't happen to the backup running back. And then I can blame the refs in that situation because obviously they made an egregious call. I mean, that was not pass interference. Not that it wasn't pass interference, but that ball was uncatchable, so it wasn't pass interference. So I don't know how they could call that other than giving the Raiders a free touchdown right before the half. So that was pretty upsetting. But I think those 2 – so I won't blame the refs because they were terrible throughout the game for both teams. Like, they missed a huge face mask on Derwin James. Mike Williams was being held the whole game, but you can say the same about Max Crosby. I'll talk about that too. But the 3rd and 23 and the fumble punt to me were 2 massive plays, and it was the reason why we were losing going into the half instead of winning. We should have been winning in the first half, point blank period. And then obviously on the first drive of that second half, Dustin Hopkins kicks a shank that must have landed in the ocean. I think it said 6 feet to the left. I mean, and they have this guy Carlson. I mean, he is just lights out. So props to the Raiders. They went on and got the win. They deserved it. But just to let you know, I mean, we've beaten them a lot of times. This was long overdue. Some would say the rivalry was dead up until this point. So, all right. That's the NFL preview. Next week, David, I'm going to submit my all-star vote. It does not matter in the slightest, but I'm going to do it anyway. And we are gonna pick not just the starting lineups. We're gonna pick the entire roster for the Eastern and Western Conference as the NBA season heads toward the All-Star break.
Spoiler alert: Andrew Wiggins won't be on my team. Just saying.
I mean, he might be on the real team. And then we will also be reviewing. There are 3 big albums that have dropped over the course of the last few weeks. We have not forgotten about our music-loving fans out there. We got The Weeknd with Don FM. We got DS Forever by Gunna. And we got Live Life Too Fast by Roddy Ricch. We'll break down all 3 of those albums, as well as the NBA and possibly the NFL once the Patriots lose, all on the next episode of the Ginger and
Soul Podcast. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Boop, 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 boop.